You say MFA on root account, it's giving me an alert. Check the root account and once if the multi-factor authentication is not enabled. So for my root account, MFA is not enabled. Okay. Security group. Now it is telling me there are some rules that allows all the connections. Okay. I did that one rule for on purpose because I'm going to show you a few things. Like 22 you enabled for everyone. It's going to alert you on that. Now this just shows you, but you can configure an SNS notification also for this. Okay, like if something happens, you get an email notification. If you have an EBS snapshot which is public, it's going to alert you. Or if you have Amazon RDS public snapshot, the RDS database public snapshot, S3 bucket permission, if you have some permission that publicly accessible, stuff like that. IMU. So this is free, but there are some more alerts that it can show on security group, password policy, CloudTrail logging, load balancer security group, CloudFront, SSL, so many, which comes only with the when you upgrade the support plan. Okay, so now if you have an in your organization, you may not go for the basic basic plan, right? Either you may have minimum developer or you may have business account with AWS, right? So just showing you, if you have the business account, you get access to all trusted advisor checks. Okay, keep that in mind. This is going to be on for you. You may not be using it. Okay, so my recommendation, go there, use it, and you can enable notifications also. So you are covered in that area. Something goes wrong, as per the trusted advisor, it's going to alert you. It also alerts you on one very important thing that happens nowadays from a long time. I am exposed access keys. So we have access key and secret key. Some people by mistake expose it publicly on GitHub repositories or other places. So trusted advisor will always not only check your account, but outside if you have exposed something, like it's gonna scan the GitHub public repository, which is cool, right? Think about it. You have a tool that is scanning GitHub public repository for your access keys. If it finds your access key over there, it's gonna alert you, and you can quickly take action. Okay, and there are white papers on that. If something like this happens, what should you do next? All right, so it gets into more and more detail, right? We'll see in the next, probably if this session is successful, we'll talk about the next session. Then we'll talk about those things, those scenarios. Okay, so yes, if you have AWS account, you may have a business account in your organization and you may be missing this service. So you can start using this service. All right, so pretty easy, right? Any question here? But there are other things I'm not talking about, right? Service limits, fault tolerance, performance, cost optimization. We're just concerned about security today. Okay, so very nice and easy service. Right. Next, of course, I think I have given enough lecture on this one to you. IAM user group and roles. Everyone aware about this, right?
Yes.
So you're aware. So I told you no user identity sharing, right? As I already told. So there's so many things that I told which I'm going to be repeating, right? Individual user access. Everyone who is accessing your AWS account should have their own IAM user, and you tightly control the IAM policy. You do not give administrator access to everyone. Okay, see, this could be very dangerous. I have given the lecture on this previously also to you in the course, in the session, right? But do not forget this. This is very important. People say, your manager comes to your desk, hey, I need to show this in the meeting. Can you give me the login details? Don't. Manager, director, whatever. Create an account, give the account, and give the IAM policy. Okay, just, managers or directors. So in the meetings, you just need read level access most of the time. So give them read level access. Okay, create your own IAM policies. Okay, you should master this creating policies. I'm gonna send you some videos and all. Just go through them and master writing your own IAM policy, restrictive access. Okay, if we happen to have next session, we'll be talking more in detail about that. And try to group users. All right, don't manage individual users. It will be real pain, right? Like a managerial level, right? DevOps related group, okay, developer related group, and give group permission, it becomes easy for the management. Okay, it's also suggested by AWS, right? Now, credential, if you're using username and password, make sure it's with multi-factor authentication. Okay, access keys. So if you're using access key, make sure you know if they're internally in the AWS, if you're using other service, you should better use roles instead of access keys. These are the most dangerous thing, access keys. Okay, you can also set up multi-factor authentication for API calls. For deleting. If you want to delete something, you have to enter the multi-factor code, and then only you can delete it like that. That can be also done. Okay, and use roles whenever possible. Stop using keys, access keys. Okay, some of us using AWS for a long time and very habituated of using access keys, right? So EC2 instance wants to talk to S3 bucket. EC2 instance wants to access something. Okay, use roles, apply role on the EC2 instance. Do not use access key. Everyone knows how to use roles, right? Anyone who does not know how to use roles? See, LDAP is to integrate user, Rahul, right? We have identity federation. You can federate IAM with users, right? LDAP users, Active Directory and all. But still, you have to manage it, right? Everything you have to manage through the IAM. What is that? Bling, bling, bling. So you may federate your IAM with identity provider, right? LDAP or Active Directory. The users will be available. Then once the users are available, you have to give them permission. You can add them into a role, group. Okay, like that. So you have to manage it all from here itself. Okay, there's one very nice thing which I wanted to show you in AWS credentials report. All right, generate this today and see what all you get. Who access what, right? If you have now AWS take care of, if somebody did any, and every activity gets recorded, and we're going to talk about recording activities also through CloudTrail and stuff. But you can really see which user did what. Okay, when he accessed the AWS account, so nobody can deny, hey, no, I did not do it. I did not do it. Like that. Yeah, roles for service only thing. Okay, so use roles as much as possible. Okay, stop using access keys. Right, like I have like CloudWatch full access, CloudWatch agent, CloudWatch full access, right? So role, who is going to use the role? Let's say EC2 is going to use the role. Next permission. What kind of access needs? Let's say needs S3 bucket access. S3 bucket read only access. S3 role. Rock and roll. Who is that bling bling continuously joining and not joining? We can shut down this bling bling. Wait. Entry exit chimes. Right. So like that, you create a role, right? And then you can assign this to your EC2 instance, because this role was created for EC2 instance. So I have one EC2 instance which I'm going to use and show you a few things about security. Right. So instance setting, attach, replace IAM roles. And this instance already has one role attached. It can use SSM service. So you can attach only one role. Apply. Now if I use, okay, it needs to be active. Okay, anyways, we'll do that, right? So I attach the role, right? S3, let's say. Now if I use any S3 command from EC2 instance, I don't need to use access key and secret key. It will use roles. Now the benefit of role is Internally, it uses access key and secret key, and you may have compliance in your organization that to rotate credentials, right? Rotate credentials. So if you apply role, you don't need to do rotate credentials, okay? Because roles will use access keys internally, and they are going to rotate it regular basis. And you can just open the AWS documentation and show it to your managers and your clients and customer that you don't need to do any rotation for this. It gets automatically rotated. Okay, so there will be compliances like this, rotating your passwords, right? Monthly, 6 months, yearly, whatever the rule compliance is, right, in your organization. So when you apply role, you don't need to do that. Okay, that's all taken care by AWS, right? Excuse me. So I think you're good with this, right? But just be careful. Now, next thing. So if we have now, you have secure your account with multi-factor and all, maybe you're now you're going to launch EC2 instance, and now you get into another compliance that we create a key pair on AWS, right? And then we use that key pair to log into your EC2 instance. So your customer or client may have question that this you generated this on AWS. What if AWS has private key? What if they can use that to log into the instance? Right? When AWS says no, we don't have that stuff like that, but client or customer may not agree. So for compliance, you can create your own key pair. Right? First, you need to generate a key pair like SSH-keygen. Right? So I'm generating the key pair. I'm not going to overwrite. I already have it. .ssh ID_RSA. So that's our private key, right? So let's say generated private key and public key. So I have the private key and then I have the public key. So the public key, I want to upload it on the AWS. Okay. So let's go to EC2 and let's go to key pair. Now you have some new features also here in this. Yeah, I'm gonna share all the links. Yeah, roles for search. So by design, it is better to have roles based on user group associated to app. Yes, you need to use role for the app instead of using user. Using ST, do we need to create for each user or group per app? No. You can use one role and you can attach it to as many as EC2 instances or any other service you want. Okay. Okay, so here's an option, import key pair. All right. So when we say create key pair, right, what happens is it creates a key pair and gives us the private key. So the question is, what if it is using the key? So you can just say import key pair. No, don't worry, nothing happens if AWS generates the key, but this is for compliance and you may get this. I got this. Okay. So you will definitely get this. If not now, sometimes you'll get this. What if they have the key? Login key. So I will say, what's name? Let's name it on behalf of Rahul. Rahul key pair. Something like that. Okay. And I need to put the public key over here. Right. So once you generate the key pair, copy it, paste it here. Okay, Control V. All right. So as it is, okay, make sure there is no extra spaces. Import key pair. And if it doesn't work, you can do it again, right? And yeah, that's it. You have the key pair. Now, when you launch your EC2 instance, Windows, Linux, any EC2 instance, you can select this key pair. And when you want to log in, when you want to do SSH, you can just use your private key. All right, and user @IP. So you can use this private key to log in, and you have uploaded already the public key in the instance. Okay. Cool. Now, by the time, let me bring on this EC2. This EC2 instance. Right, so that's easy, right? That's it. So I'll bring on this EC2 instance because we have few things that we're going to do with this instance now. Let's start the system. Okay. So take care of that, right? So three things now: trusted advisor, and you know this part. Just follow the best practice that I told you, and you have your own key pair. Next, all right. Next, as per now, this slide, all the slides is just as per the AWS best practices white paper. Okay. So we are just following the best practices suggested by AWS, and they secure our environment. Most of the things are going to be based on the best practices. Need to import on each EC2 instance. Why you need to import an EC2 instance? When we launch EC2 instance, that time you select your key. Okay, it's only at the launch time. You can't do it on existing instance. I mean, if you want to do it on existing instance, then you need to log into it, get into authorized keys files, authorized files, and then put it. Okay, this is for launching instance. The compliance is before you get started. Okay. Okay, so the next thing in the white paper says you need to encrypt your data on the cloud. All right. Now, can you tell me, guys, what are the services that holds your data? Go where what are the services that you use to store your data? S3. Okay. What else? S3 stores data, right? EBS, very good. RDS, very good. EFS, good. Okay. So I think you have the idea what all the services that stores our data. Your data, when it gets stored on AWS, any service, you should encrypt it. That is called as encryption at rest. I also call it protecting data at rest. That means you have to encrypt the data at rest, which is lying there. Okay, CloudWatch logs. So to encrypt data, you need encryption keys. Now, some services already provide encryption keys, like S3 has its own encryption keys. You can use that to encrypt the S3 bucket. EBS has its own encryption key. You can use that to encrypt. Okay. But then those encryption keys are managed by AWS. Their expiry is managed by AWS. Everything is managed by AWS on that key, right? But AWS now gives you a service called as KMS. So there are AWS managed keys, right? We are not going to use that in this workshop. There is KMS, AWS KMS service, key management service, where you can create keys, encryption keys. Okay. One that you can also import the material of the key material if you want, but not required really. You create the key through KMS, and then you can manage the key authorization and key expiry, and so many things you can manage. You can decide, like, let's say on my AWS account I have Venkat user, okay, and I want only Venkat to give access to the encryption key. So encryption decryption can be done only by Venkat. So when creating S3 bucket, Venkat used their encryption key to encrypt my bucket. Now only Venkat can decrypt it. Nobody else can decrypt. Nobody else can see the data. Right? So it's a doubly secure, right? You have policies, you have authentication and stuff, right? But when you encrypt and you give authentication of the encryption key to only one user, one user or multiple users, only those users can use the key for encryption and decryption, even for decryption. Okay, we'll do an exercise now with that. So you can use KMS with custom keys also, like you can generate your cryptographic key and you can upload it like we did for key pair, the cryptographic key you generate. Okay, the different commands for that. And then you can upload it on KMS. All right. So what are the data that we can encrypt, right? You already told me. You have S3, you have EBS, you have RDS, Glacier, DynamoDB, EFS, EMR, Elastic MapReduce for Hadoop cluster, right? And wherever you see data at rest, there will be an option to encrypt it. Okay, so you don't need to by heart really this. Okay, what are the services and all? People may not even ask you about this. When you use a service, like when we create S3 bucket, when we create EBS volume, we have an option of encryption. In RDS, we have an option of encryption, and we'll see the option of the key.